was pretty interesting. First time we met, I was actually coming from my house in Reading, Pennsylvania, out to her house in Cherry Hill. So it was actually a snowstorm. Ended up in bumper-to-bumper traffic on Route 76, and it was probably one of the most aggravating experiences of my life. Thought about turning around, but said, all right, stick with it. Let's get ourselves out there. And 2.5 hours later in the car, when she opened the door, I was pleasantly surprised, and it was worth every minute of that aggravation that I actually sat through. So
we met online, and I thought he was cute. There was just something that drew me to him. When I met him in person the first time, he was tall, and I thought he was handsome. And then I remember looking at his clothes, and I thought, if he just didn't have that one shirt on, then it would be like. But usually with people, it was always like a deal breaker, and it was like the first time that I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. So yeah, I just thought he was cute, and he was sweet, he was funny, and everything I expected, because we met online. Sometimes your expectations aren't exactly what it was. Well, our first date was rescheduled 3 times because every time we made plans, either there was honestly a death in the family, or we had a snowstorm.
And it was snowing, so we had all plans to go out and decided, you know what, let's just take it easy, nice slow night. We'll go order some food, pick it up, come back to her house, and do dinner and a movie inside. So that is exactly what we did.
So the first time we met, we were planning on, he had been talking about how The Hangover was the best movie. So we were supposed to go out to dinner and then come back and watch The Hangover. But the snowstorm hit, so we decided to broke my rule right there, bring in and watch. And we just laughed, and I was nervous that we weren't able to talk the same way that we talked on the phone, and everything was just completely natural. And yeah, so we watched a movie at home and just hung out and waited for the snow to stop so he could drive home.
Definitely said that she was probably the most open and honest person. Told me things that I would never have expected to find out so recent in meeting somebody. So just her, I guess, genuine personality.
He was funny, and he was down to earth, and he just had this kind, like, vibe from him that just genuine. That's the kind of word. That's the word I would say that still to this day, he's just the most genuine person that I've ever met in my whole life. And I know, and I feel that I'm very genuine. When people meet me, they know who I am. And I just felt that was just such a good combination, the two of us like that.
Well, she actually let me know I was going to be the one way before I actually knew. I guess women's intuition. So I don't know, we were actually sitting in my house one day. I was laying on the couch, and I just said, I don't know, how do you know when you're in love with somebody? She says, if you have to ask that, Dave, I guess you're there.
Dave and I both are big believers in The Secret. So we were both, he had read it already, and I was in the process of finishing it. And but then being from a very Jewish family, my grandmother's very superstitious, so I was brought up and I am very superstitious. And with my dad passing away, it was very difficult because I kind of had a feeling about him like pretty soon from when I met him. And I just kept thinking, like, what will my dad think? And there were signs that I had, but the last sign that I got was we went to do the Get Your Rear in Gear walk in Philadelphia. And so that was in March, and we met in January. And my mom was giving out the names, the shirts, and she was looking at the list, and she couldn't understand why my dad's name was on the list. And all of a sudden, Dave says, oh, well, my middle name's Ian. And I just knew that was like my dad's sign.
Oh, that was the best feeling of my life. All right, I totally tried to set her up because everybody was, oh, when's he gonna do it? When's he gonna? So, you know, I needed to have the old surprise element, and I think I had her thinking that it was gonna happen a couple times before, and it didn't. So
I was sick all day, and I knew he had the rings, And what happened was I was very stressed because we had already told the rabbi to reserve the date. No one knew. My mom would have killed me. And so I was getting nervous because the further and further, or closer and closer to when we wanted to get to the date, the more nervous I got that we weren't going to have time. So I knew he'd asked my mom, my grandmother permission, and I knew he had the rings, and I just was getting like very anxious.
It was actually 15 minutes before midnight, right before my birthday. She fell asleep downstairs.
And that day I was sick all day, and I kept wanting to go to bed, and he wouldn't let me go to bed. He's like, oh, let's just watch the end of the Eagles game. So all of a sudden I must have passed out. I felt like I was asleep for a while. He said that it was like all of 30 seconds.
I went upstairs, did the whole room with candles and roses, and she ended up waking up, asked me where I was. I was like, oh, I'm upstairs. She says, how come you didn't wake me up? I said, oh, you know, whatever, I was tired. She got all pissed off, came storming up the stairs.
So I yell upstairs. I'm so angry. I'm like, where are you? And he says, I'm upstairs. What are you doing upstairs? I'm going to bed. What do you mean you're going to bed? I've been wanting to go to bed forever. So all of a sudden I go storming up the stairs, and I realize there's stuff all over the floor. We had just cleaned the house, so I'm all annoyed that there's stuff all over. And then I go in the room, and something just looks like so totally weird in the room, and I got all paranoid.
And when she came in the room, I was standing on one knee, and the rest is history.
And there he was on his knee with the Hobie sitting right next to him, and he proposed. And I'll never forget, it was 11:47 on a Sunday night. And I, of course, was jumping up and down, and I was screaming, and I was so happy. And then I sat there staring at my ring saying, oh my God, it sparkles. Oh my God, look how sparkly it is. Look how gorgeous it is. And he's trying to go to sleep. And I couldn't call it. I couldn't call anybody because it was so late at night. So the only person that got a message right away was my cousin who lives in Las Vegas, because I knew she'd be awake. And I sent them messages, and I mean, I kept them awake most of the night. So I mean, I was so excited. And even though I knew it was coming, and I knew what my ring looked like, it's like once it's finally there, it was just elation, I guess you could say.
Like I said, she's just the most genuine person you would probably ever meet. She's got a great personality, and she's just so outgoing. I mean, I can feel like I can take her anywhere, and I don't have to feel like uncomfortable that she's not going to fit in. She's just definitely puts herself out there, which is great.
I think his calmness. He's very even-keeled. He's very rational, whereas I call him the yin to my yang, because I'm high-strung, stressed out all the time, always like freaking out, nothing's gonna get done, and he's just like, it'll all work out. So he's very laid back, which helps balance me out and bring me down. And then, let's see, he's good with money, because I'm not, so I really love that about him. And I think the thing that I love about him the most is that he's very encouraging. He encourages me to do whatever. He's always there and supporting me, and you know, trying to give me a different way to do it. And it's a good balance.
Hopefully, the most beautiful girl in the world that I see, but somebody that's just, again, genuine, charming, and beautiful.
When they get to know him, they see two things. They see lots of energy. He's very friendly, outgoing. But I think that they see how much he loves me, honestly. I mean, that's one thing. When my family came as a whole, they'd already met him, but they came to our house for the first time for my birthday 2 years ago. And everybody just kept saying to me, you can just see how much he loves you. So I think he sees that. They see that. And after they get to know him, I think he seems more calm, less intense, and just how genuine he is. He really is probably the most genuine person that I've ever met. So.
You know, the sweetest moment for me is, honestly, I got really sick one time, and I was feeling like crap. I didn't want to do anything, and here was like the saving grace that came along and made me a bath, made me food, took care of me. I just think that was probably one of the sweetest moments that I can remember and greatly appreciated at that time.
I think it would be a toss-up between the first time we went down to North Carolina to see the house. We hadn't done anything, we hadn't stayed in it. I had known about it forever and hadn't gotten down. Like, I knew about the house pretty much when we first started dating and didn't get down there until the end of April. So it was just, I remember walking in the house and him calling it our house. And that just was, I knew that I knew that we were both in it for the long haul. And I would say that was a tie between when I lost my job, my first time. I was panicked to lose my house and lose everything that I had worked so hard for. And he just looked at me and said, we'll come up with a plan. And there aren't many people that when you're only dating for about 4 months that will pretty much tell you, I'm going to help you out with whatever you need to help me out with, whether it was emotional or economical. He was going to help me out with it.
All right, so I have a sadistic sense of humor, so my pleasure is sometimes in other people's pain. On a recent trip to Jamaica, we decided to go ziplining through the woods, and I think I have a little bit more sense of adventure than she does. So right before her first departure off of the first jump down the zip line, I think was probably the funniest thing, looking at her facial expression before she went over. So that gave me a pretty good laugh. Not as funny for her, but
I think he's probably going to kill me for saying this, but I think one of the times that he made me laugh the hardest was when we were at the beach. I think it was 2 summers ago in Ocean City, and he tried to use my nephew's skimboard. And I mean, Dave is totally talented and he's athletic, and he fell right on his face. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life.
you know, just seeing the smile on her face and her happiness, this is something I know she's been planning for a really long time, and the fact that I'm the one that actually gets to take that step with her, I think that's the best thing, just knowing what this is going to lead to going forward.
Being married, I just can't wait to be married to him. We haven't been together that long, but I just feel I'm just ready for our life to start together. I'm ready to see, looking forward to see how he decides he's going to dance. As he told my sister a couple weeks ago, he was joking around and saying how stressed out I get and how worked up and how embarrassed I get for him when he starts dancing like Kramer from Seinfeld. So that's so I'm just looking forward to just having fun and for it to come to fruition. I mean, I know it's gonna go by fast, but I'm just looking forward to really just saying, you know, I'm his wife. And to see him cry, because I think he's gonna cry when he sees me in my dress. He says no, but I think he will. Happy. That's all I care about. I don't care where we are. I don't really. He's made me think about not really trying to pinpoint or set a schedule. I'm still a planner. Like, I have to plan everything, but I just want to enjoy our life. We're starting, you know, later than, you know, a lot of people we know, but all I want to see us when I look forward is just being happy. When I think about us in the future, I see smiles. That's just all I see. So I just want to be happy.
I hopefully, you know, really retired. First and foremost, but you know, I hope I have a great family and maybe even grandkids by that time. You know, I want the same thing that, you know, my family gets to experience as I'm taking the next steps in life.
And that's the story of us.
And that is the story of us.